step into our meditative, more awesome self. As we enter the temple, I hope you step within yourself into that part of you that is more awesome, or has the ability to imagine being more awesome, has the creativity to practice being more awesome. So we're just going to start with our dedication for today. We're taking some time to be mindful, to be intentional, to be positive. Your ability to be creative with yourself or to be empowered, the more we make that strong, the more you get to be happy, creative, and positive. So we're taking the time to strengthen that consciousness, that ability to shift how we feel, to shift how we think, and shift how we are. And the more conscious everybody gets, the better the world can be. So let's grab a seat. And the theme I wanted to discuss today was about fine-tuning our mind, fine-tuning our emotions and ourselves. So, what do I mean by that? I'll start with some examples. So, perhaps you really love fruit salad. And most people think the way they enjoy a food or a meal, it's just inherent.
Don't mind me.
So yeah, those of you who are joining us in the temple, just grab a seat, make yourself welcome. I'm live streaming the session as well, so hopefully if you've got other friends, you can invite them to join us too. And everybody out there on the live stream, I'll be checking messages as we go, so feel free to write in and join us. So, I was just saying how often the way we feel, people kind of just believe that's how they feel. But actually, we have the ability to transform that if we bring our awareness to it. So I was starting with an example of a fruit salad. Maybe you like a fruit salad. But if we bring our attention to how much we like that experience, we're able to change it. For example, let's say you really want fruit salad to be a more enjoyable experience. You can notice what your experience of fruit salad is and just imagine it being more delicious. And it's such a simple idea, but I'm so blown away that every time I've shared that idea with people, and while we're eating, and they're like, "My God, this is more delicious now." How simple and beautiful that practice can be. Ekis, welcome. Thanks for joining us. I was just talking about the ability to fine-tune our mind. And I was using the example of a fruit salad. And the amount that you enjoy it is actually something that you can change. If you watch how you feel, you can make it more delicious or make it less delicious by just watching your experience and imagining, setting that intention. Many of you will be familiar with my personal story where cantaloupe or rockmelon was horrible to me. And I realized all the things I was missing out on by having that reaction to it. So I transformed it that it was nice. And then I was able to enjoy all the fruit salads that had rockmelon in them. Now, why am I just talking about being able to change a fruit salad? What I'm actually getting at here, I hope you'll see, is profound and life-changing. Because if we can change how we experience a food, we could actually make it that we love the things that make our body healthy. We love healthy food. And stuff that's not good for you, you can just turn down the liking, so they're just not as appealing anymore. And then we can also do the same thing with not just food, but activities to enjoy exercise or socializing or working on our dreams. But the reason I called today's session fine-tuning our emotions and our life is I really wanted to focus on the fine-tuning aspect of it. And let me give you some more examples. Growing up, for me, when I thought about love, which for some people is just a beautiful, warm, nice feeling that's easy and inspiring. When I thought about love, maybe there was some hope of that, but not really. It was more like there was being there for each other, but also like crying and hardness. And when I realized that was the feeling that I actually had when I thought of love, was pretty life-changing. I could then bring my awareness to that part of me and then start to imagine a more beautiful, enjoyable love. And right now I'm talking about like the personal love, like the people who are really close, you care about. You've been to my sessions before, many of you, when I talked about compassion cultivation, where we felt greater kindness and patience and understanding for the world, and it made you just feel better towards everybody. I had done that, but it wasn't until a decade later that I was like, wow, when it comes to me being loved and me having loving relationships, wow, I really need to fine-tune that as well. And another example, we were talking recently about caring. And hopefully the idea of caring is a nice, heartwarming feeling. And in Buddhism, there's often this idea of non-attachment. And some people take that to mean, well, not caring. Because their idea of caring comes with all of this like expectation. And if I care, of course I'm going to get angry or frustrated about things. But I hope some part of you can imagine a way of caring that just feels nice. That no matter what happens, it's heartwarming and it has a sense of ease and it's enjoyable. So I just want to pause for a moment that this idea of fine-tuning our feelings or our mind state is what I've presented and what we're going to spend time on this evening. So, questions or comments? Fine-tuning our emotions. How does that sound? Did it make sense? Does it seem too abstract or applicable? I see a few nods in the crowd. Great. So I think what I'd like to do next is a short introspection. So I mentioned love, and I mentioned caring, and I mentioned enjoying fruit salad. But I'm going to guide a little introspection where we're just going to look in ourselves, different kinds of feelings, different things we enjoy or don't enjoy, different aspects of our life. And I hope that you find lots of places where you'd like to make it more lovely, more inspiring, more soothing, more strong. Or whatever you think, wow, when I look at this part of me, I definitely see how that part of me could be more awesome in some way. Okay, so we've got a lot of regulars here. Amigo, have you meditated before? I think your microphone's still on mute.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I have, but this is like my first time showing up here. I don't know like any formal way of like meditating. I just kind of like do it the old-fashioned way, just kind of like sit down in a quiet room, and just kind of like focus on my thoughts for a little bit.
Awesome. Well, welcome. Happy to have you here. What we're going to do now is not any traditional meditation. I'm going to do a guided meditation where we're going to just explore some ideas. And the reason I call it meditation is because I'm going to introduce it with a little bit of relaxation so we can just be more in ourselves. But yeah, in these events, we definitely have times where we do formal mindfulness meditation, single-pointed awareness on the breath. We also have moments where we just watch our mind freeform. We do traditional kindness meditations. We explore all different ways of using our mind. So, the reason I asked was just to get a feel for where you're at. So I just want everyone to get comfortable. This will be just a few minutes of meditative contemplation. So, once you're comfortable with your sitting, I like to pull my shoulders up and back. It kind of aligns my posture and opens up my chest, and it feels good. If you'd like to, you can close your eyes, and we're going to take some slow, relaxing breaths. And like I said, the reason we're doing this is to let everything else around just disappear. Let our minds become calm and be able to just be more immersed in the meditation, in the ideas that we're exploring. So over your next few breaths, make them feel peaceful and relaxing. And imagine everything else just disappearing. Stepping into meditation. Imagining like being fully in a daydream. Imagine your whole mind just coming into yourself. Take a couple of even deeper, even slower breaths. And notice that we're already fine-tuning how our breath feels. Notice the breath coming into your lungs. Feel your chest and your body, and fine-tune how your body feels. Imagine every part just relaxing and letting go. Let everything feel more at ease, more comfortable. And we're going to explore this fine-tuning into all different parts of our life. So we relaxed our body, we shifted how our breath felt. And then take some breaths to feel good right now. Maybe you want each breath to feel happier. Maybe you want each breath to feel more peaceful. Maybe you want each breath to feel blissful or joyful or content. Just watching each breath as you imagine those positive feelings and fine-tune how you feel right now. And you could imagine that you've mastered this art of fine-tuning. What would an enlightened mind be like? Just to bring beautiful bliss, complete presence and acceptance, awesome total freedom and creativity. And I'm going to mention some different aspects of life. Some of them you'll relate to, and you can imagine fine-tuning them. This will be the beginning of you fine-tuning that part of you, and something you can keep practicing. And if there's some parts I say that you don't relate to, that's okay. Just be ready for the next moment. So we can start by just thinking about how we feel about others. Even your best friends or closest family. You could imagine how you could fine-tune that to be better for you and better for them. And you can think of different groups in your life, different groups of friends, maybe sports teams or co-workers, maybe groups from the past. And just every group that comes to mind, you'll probably notice different feelings. You could imagine fine-tuning those feelings so that you feel as empowered, as positive as possible. Maybe you want to fine-tune it to have more warmth, more love, more overflowing joy. Just noticing all the places where your creativity could transform. And next we're going to bring our attention to the idea of loving, of deeply caring for someone. And just look at what that feels like. And let your enlightened creativity tune that up to feel more wonderful. Next, we're going to look at the idea of being fully loved. That someone could cherish you and adore you, want to help you completely and selflessly. Now, as we're fine-tuning this, if your attention moves into some feeling that's not so great, I just invite you to bring it into the most beautiful feelings you can imagine. As you imagine receiving love beautifully. And with each of these parts of our life we look at, perhaps this short meditation is enough to completely transform each part. Or maybe you'll see, hey, this is a part of me that I could continue to imagine and keep making more beautiful. So the next part we're going to look at is working on projects. Whether that's working with people or working on your own projects. Just seeing how it feels. The good parts, fine tune it, make that feel even better. The less than good parts, look at how you feel there. And imagine your total wisdom taking over instead. how you'd feel there, how you'd act there. Next, we can think about your social life. How does it feel to go to an event or to meet new people? You can just imagine your enlightened self meeting new people, going to events. We're going to keep exploring different parts, but let's just rest for a moment and step more into your creative mind. How much could you imagine a part of you that's blissful? What would it feel like to be totally free to choose joy and happiness and wonder? I want us to energize these positive feelings. So what's it like for your excited, enlightened self? Letting yourself imagine pure strength when it comes to positivity. The part of you that's powerful, the part of you that's blissful, the part of you that's full of self-love. Take some breaths and let all those positive feelings be stronger. It's like you're changing the color of the lens in which you see life. Changing the color of the lens in which you see this meditation. Opening up to more positive emotions to be able to imagine and be felt. How important, how exciting it is to spend time amping up this goodness. And so you could imagine throughout your day all the different things you do. Work, studies, sport, dancing, different groups of friends, different classes or activities you go to. And there's different feelings everywhere, in everything. And you can just see all the different emotions and mindsets that you could fine tune. Letting yourself imagine how good it would feel to have totally tuned up this orchestra of your life to be one beautiful song. And then just let your mind wander to anything that I haven't covered. Different parts of you. Different things you do. Different attitudes. Just letting your enlightened mind go and touch every part of you and your life. We're just imagining every part of your life and every part of you and what it would feel like if all your positivity and creativity took over. How you'd feel and how you'd be if your most awesome self was the director. Maybe you're just generally thinking of feeling great and empowered. Or maybe you're thinking of very specific things. This thing I go to on a Tuesday afternoon. That thing there. Yeah, this is how I could be when I talk to that person. Or when I'm in that situation where I used to react like that. This is what I'd imagine my ideal reaction would be. I'm just going to practice that for a minute in my mind. And so for the last part of this meditation, I just want you to focus on your own awareness. Every part you just imagined, every part you just felt. Imagine your own awareness, feeling empowered, feeling transformative. If there's anything you'd like to remember from this meditation, just take a moment to relive it, re-feel it, rethink it, or decide it. If there's any parts of you where you thought, well, I could really practice more there, decide that now. A bit of time every day to make that part of you be more awesome. to feel greater or easier. And when you're ready, you can come from the meditation back into the temple. So I'd love to hear people's thoughts. If you're watching later on the video, I'd love for you to write it in the comments. What stood out to you, or what did you feel, or what ideas did you have? Does anyone here like to share any of their experience?
Yeah, I would like to share. I found it like hard to like focus on some of the prompts that like you were prompting throughout the session. I think this is kind of like going back to like me still being kind of like a novice meditator. I still kind of am unaware of like what the goal is per se. Like sometimes like I'll go into meditation having an idea of like what I want to think about or like what I want to reflect on. But the times where like I notice that like my mind is wandering, I kind of like get frustrated at that fact. Like, oh, like I should be thinking about this instead of like letting my mind kind of wander into like unrelated subjects. I'm not sure if like anybody else had similar experiences with that, but what advice would you give to like someone like me who kind of gets frustrated at not being able to like focus on a particular subject for like some amount of time? Yeah, that's my question.
So I have a lot of thoughts around helping with that, with meditation in general. But I want to stick with the theme today of fine-tuning. So even your attitude to when your mind wanders is something we could fine-tune. So I have some general meditation suggestions around that topic. But I'd like to ask you, how would you like to feel when you notice that happens?
I'm not really sure. I've read that like you should just like not get frustrated at that fact, that you should just kind of like ease your way back into like focusing or thinking about like whatever you were trying to meditate about. I would like to get to that point where like I'm just kind of like, oh, like I was thinking about this, you know, I'm thinking about A, or I was thinking about A, now I'm thinking about B, let me think about A again. It's more like, oh, I wanted to think about A, why am I thinking about B? I like already got over B, why am I still thinking about B? Let me focus on A again. That's kind of like the dominoes of thoughts that I have.
So let me try and reflect that back concisely. Is if your mind wanders and then you notice it, you'd like to just go back easily to the thing you wanted to focus on. All right.
Yeah. But sometimes it's like sometimes A or B would be related to A in some way, but that B, like in some way subconsciously, I think that like I still think about B because I would rather be thinking about A. It's kind of hard without like specific examples.
Sure.
But like in general, throughout like multiple sessions, this has happened.
So in regards to today's thing of just fine-tuning how it feels, I definitely hope that you can imagine just feeling better when that happens. Just feeling alright, without any justification or reason. I just want us to be able to imagine that when we meditate, whatever happens, we feel good. And, today I actually wanted us to be exploring our mind. So if your mind wandered, if you wandered to something and then a part of you was like, well, how would I be awesome there? 100% that was my intention for this meditation. Some meditations it's about concentrating. Today was about wandering through your mind and just trying to bring positivity wherever you went. So it's completely intended that your mind would wander today. I hope that also whatever you thought of, you kind of imagined, how would I feel good here? How would my best self think about this part or act in this part of me? That was the intention for today. But even if that didn't happen, sometimes our mind just wanders randomly. If you're having a conversation with a friend and your mind wanders, what do?
I try to like remember what that conversation was about and like try to think of a response.
Yeah, you just get back engaged in it. So maybe we could take that attitude to meditation. If your mind wanders, it's cool. Just get back engaged with it. I've been in a lot of different meditation circles, and I've seen in some circles where there's more judgment or reaction to where the mind wanders. And so I actually try to not talk about it that much and just be cool about it. Hey, let's just be focused on the stuff we want. And I found that doing that, people's mind wanders less and they're more engaged with the stuff we're doing. If we were doing like traditional mindfulness meditation, where we were breathing with single-pointed awareness, trying to get every part of our mind laser focused together, if your mind wanders then, I'd actually also want you to celebrate it. The moment you notice that your mind wandered, that is the aware part of your mind being more connected to more parts of you. So if meditation is like exploring our awareness, whatever your awareness does is amazing. So taking this just curious celebratory approach is not just more enjoyable or more beneficial. To me, it's actually what the process is about. You could imagine an artist, and there's an artist who has an idea of what they want to draw, and if it starts to look different to what they want, some artists would be like, I'm abandoning this drawing, or I'm frustrated with the drawing. And then other artists would just be like, cool, what's going on here? Let's just keep making the art and see where it takes itself. And I would suggest with meditation to take a similar approach. Just be amazed by your mind. Just explore it and enjoy it. So that's kind of my general thoughts around how we relate to our mind during meditation. But especially I want to bring it back to today's subject of fine-tuning it. when we think about how we meditate, I hope we can also emotionally fine-tune it. I would like you to imagine that it feels good and that it's easy and it's inviting and our mind is in a curious place and it feels good. If your mind wanders, what's it feel like to come back to where you were? Yeah, can I see with a nod or a shake? Like, can people relate to that? Does that sound like a beneficial thing? So Jigglebutt, I see you looking around. I'm not sure if you've joined us here before. I'd love to hear your thoughts, questions, skepticism, anything, everything about what's going on. You don't want to be put on the spot? Okay, cool. Great. Well, definitely.
They were here earlier.
Oh, cool. This session is
Yeah.
definitely for you. I want to make it as great for you as possible. So whatever your thoughts, I want to help you make it that it works for you. So please ask anything and everything. But yeah, back to our theme about fine-tuning. Can you imagine if everyone in the world meditated a little bit each day on feeling completely okay to be put on the spot? We just love asking questions. We feel completely comfortable all the time. Like there'd be so much hesitation that could just be transformed. We could all enjoy anything and everything a lot more. So that's a real mission of mine, is to make a world where everyone feels ready for anything. So to people on the live stream, I'm really sorry. We've got to get a stronger system, I guess. I'd love it if any of you as an engineer or
for like 8 years now, so it's like it kind of chose me, I guess. Whatever people enjoy calling you, sometimes people probably come with nicknames for you.
No, not really.
Jiggleputt, did you crash my VR chat because I was putting you on the spot? Don't do that again. Cool. I'm going to just turn back on the camera. Oh,
Oh my.
we got some flame on the stage. All right, I'm going to
Spitting fire.
take my attention somewhere else. But yeah, I do definitely want to reiterate to everybody, these sessions are meant to be super helpful for you. So please ask whatever personal questions you have, or anything that doesn't seem, if it doesn't seem like you could do it, ask me how or why. I want you to be, if not completely on the same page, at least be able to see my page and consider it exactly as what it's being offered as. Cool. So after our meditation, Amigo mentioned about how we relate to our mind in meditation. But yeah, I definitely want to ask, has anyone else got something else they want to share? Something that they thought of or felt in the meditation, or any questions? Shreximus?
Yeah, so first of all, super sorry. Totally thought it was at 9. Don't know why I thought that. But when I came in, you were talking about going along with... I don't think that was the word you used. You were talking about thoughts that come up during meditation and being okay with those thoughts and not Am I wrong that you were talking about that?
Yeah, Amigo asked the
Yeah.
question of what happens when our mind wanders during meditation.
Right. Yes. Okay. I think I've gotten better with being okay with, I'm noticing that I'm now thinking about, I don't know, the interview that I have on Wednesday. Let's bring it back. I know what I'm going to do there. I've figured that out. I'm allotting this time for this, and then I'll allot another time to think about that. We're going to come back to the object. And I've gotten better at doing that and not beating myself up over it. But something I've had more difficulty with is when there's a more upsetting thought, like a big worry or a memory or something kind of more emotionally striking than something mundane, like what am I going to eat today or what am I going to do in this interview. So I've been having more trouble with those kinds of thoughts.
So my response would really depend on what kind of meditation are we practicing. So I'm going to start...
Sorry, yeah, go ahead.
So I'll start with responding like if those thoughts happened during mindfulness meditation. So there's mindfulness meditations where people just watch their mind wander. And if these thoughts arose then, I would just look at them. Take an approach of how do I let this thought be observed in a way that releases the intensity. Or maybe you might see, oh yeah, I'm having this reaction because of this expectation. Or I'm having this emotion and I don't actually have to have the emotion about this. This is what the thought would be like without the emotion. So yeah, if you were just letting the mind wander and observe, you can observe it with an intention of transforming that part of you. Now, if you are doing the kind of breathing meditation where you're trying to concentrate, there's many different approaches to that. I could talk about those different approaches, but I actually want to just focus on the approach that I found most helpful. And that is just keep coming back to the single pointed focus. So Amigo, similar to your question before, when you think of something and then you start thinking, oh, why did I think of that thing? I would encourage, if you're trying to do focused meditation, that just as much as you can, as fast as you can, it's just back to the breath. You're going to have to breathe again in a millisecond. The next bit of the breathing is happening. So you just tie yourself, just come back to the breath as much as possible. And now what the hell does that have to do with where you've just had a worrying or upsetting thought arise? Let me explain. So I think about what I'm going to eat for lunch, back to my breath. And I hope that as you do that, there's also this idea of letting go of the thought of what I'm going to do as I come back to my breath. Oh, there's a feeling in my knee. Feel my breath. You do that enough times and your body is stronger. Like the physical sensations that your mind would have got caught up in, your brain's like overcome it. Boom, I'm more powerful than those things. Or here's some important thing I need to do. No, now I'm focused on my breath. I'm learning that my consciousness, I direct it. I'm more powerful. And then here's some weighted emotional thing that's arisen. I come back to my breath. There's some part of me that has let go of the reaction to that thing. Right now I'm just breathing. Right now I'm just breathing. Right now I'm pure consciousness. But if I go and think about that later, that part of me it's not so weighted. Instead, I'll be able to think about it with freedom, because my mind can always just come back into that stillness. I know during my practice, there's been times where really intense things happen, and I came back to the breath, and I was trying to focus just on the breath, but I could feel this whole web of blah that was related to that thought. When I came back to the breath, that whole web just kind of dissolved. I'm not promising that's going to happen every time. It doesn't. But it definitely happened a bunch of times. It's amazing, by just letting go back to the breath, be consciousness that you control, how wild that just works on different parts of you.
Yeah, every once in a while it happens that way, and it's the most cool, I don't have a better word for it, cool experiences. The type of meditation, because you asked what type of meditation I'm doing, it's Mahasi Sayadaw, I'm saying his name wrong, Mahasi style noting meditation. So the idea is, if a thought comes up that's upsetting or whatever, you say in your mind, thinking. So you're not engaging with the thought. You're kind of looking at it, except you're just labeling it as thinking, no matter what the topic is of the thinking. All it is thinking, and you label it thinking, which kind of stops you from thinking. And the idea behind that is there's usually a progression of events that happens once something arises. So something will arise, a pain in the knee, or a thought, or something. It'll arise, you'll notice it, and then you'll have an opinion about it. You'll like it or you'll dislike it. And the idea is, by noting it, you cut off, you stop it at the awareness step and stop it from getting to the opinion step. And I have a hard time getting it before then. It's very difficult. So usually it'll be thought, and then almost instantly I'll be like, oh, I don't want to think that, or oh, I like that thought, or whatever. So that's kind of a tricky thing. It's almost like, I think my VR is dying. Oopsies.
Let me jump in while we still have you.
Sorry, it's okay.
So
It's telling me to do the Guardian. It's the dumbest thing. Sorry.
can you still hear us?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
Oh, now I'm back. Weird.
Great. So I haven't spent a lot of time in Mahasi noting meditation, because when I did it, I found it wasn't so helpful. So maybe there's more to it. But my perspective is that if we're aiming to instantly come to the breath, instantly, before the label, before anything, if your goal is to instantly be in the breath, to be pure consciousness, you're closer to cutting it off before that other stuff than having to think about it, label it, come up with the word, and then come back to the breath. So I have found just aiming as fast as possible to just breathe, no words, just hear the breathing, feel the breathing. I have found that to be more immediate, faster, and more powerful. And if you were going to go in the labeling process, you would then be labeling the I don't want to think about it, and then you'd be labeling the thing that you did. There's like infinite progression of bits you could see and then think of. And the power of being focused on instant breathing is there are so many little tiny details and little aspects of every thought. There's more than you could ever label. And if you're making your snippet of awareness every little millisecond, or smaller than a millisecond, every little nanosecond, then I found the awareness that develops is more fine-grained and more empowered.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
They really do be like,
Hey guys, welcome. Come join us. We're in a class at the moment. Grab a seat. Now, Shreximus, you joined just after we were having a question following our main meditation. So we actually kind of went on a tangent just then, followed by that question. So for the guys who just joined us and everybody, I'm going to just do a recap of our whole session. We were talking about how you can actually fine-tune your mind. So imagine you've got a guitar and it's a little bit out of tune and it doesn't quite sound great. And you can, some people will just play it and be like, it doesn't sound great. But you can grab the tuning knobs and like make each part sound better. And we can actually do the same thing with our mind. Let me show you. Just notice how you feel right now. And then on the next breath, take a breath that is soothing. Some of you felt a bit of soothing, some of you felt a lot, some didn't. That's okay. Take a couple of breaths where each breath gets a little bit more relaxing. Make them slow, make them feel good. So our first meditation was about, hey, what if you did that, but for all parts of your life? You just tuned up, being more happy here, more confident there. We even talked about fine-tuning. Like, what if the way that you felt about something was pretty good, but you looked at it closely and made it work better for you? And then we did this meditation where we thought about our friends and we thought about life and we thought about caring and we thought about love and we thought about creativity, and just let everybody fine-tune or imagine how they would feel awesome or feel good in those different parts of their life. And Shreximus, when you walked in, that was when I said, so what things arose for people? What did you think of? And Amigo was sharing his reaction to when his mind wandered in the meditation. And that's why I emphasized that today's theme was about fine-tuning it. So I hope that you could imagine feeling good no matter what happens in meditation. So maybe we could just all take a couple of breaths. Even if you already feel good and love meditation, imagine just loving it even more, feeling more blissful, more free and enlightened. So let's just take a few breaths and just imagine our attitude to meditation just feels really good. It's warm, it's curious, it's fun. It's inviting. You want to explore deeper into your mind. Alright, amigo, I hope those 4 breaths were helpful in response to the question you asked. And I hope you could imagine taking more of those breaths. Intentionally just imagine feeling really good about whatever happens in meditation. Cool, does anyone else have any... Going back to our original thing, fine-tuning all different parts of our life. Does anyone else have something that was nice or surprising you want to share? Or a question? Yeah, Ekis.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of super simple when we were doing the meditation, but it kind of came down just to the simple concept of happiness, thinking about happiness itself, and more so how much stronger it is when there's other people to share it with. Because I've been practicing, more solace in my own solitude for a while, but kind of realizing that adding other people to that it's kind of what makes happiness real, I guess. And yeah, it was really simple, but that was kind of just what my meditation started to be based around.
Hmm. Um, Tell us, in terms of the intention of the meditation, fine-tuning things, did that then lead you to imagine being more inclusive of other people, or what are you going to do with the thought you just shared with us?
Yeah, I mean, to be more specific, it was more just, I've been a lot more distant with some family recently. I mean, we've talked about some of the things, and just with how the environment of things are changing in the family and some friends, and some of the plans I have for the future, just in particular, having a property, having a place, and inviting people to share that with, just kind of those scenarios that just made it a lot more inviting. I mean, a lot more happy, I guess.
Beautiful. I want to share a story of my own happiness meditation history. So when I first learned about meditation, I wasn't very happy, and I learned about practicing different transformations. So practicing confidence, or practicing being better at sport, or practicing feeling good. And imagining myself as like this happy person was just too far out at the time. So I just started with imagining that I feel okay. I feel okay with everything. And then a couple of weeks into that, I was like, hey, I'm good at this now. So then I amped it up and imagined I'm a happy person. And when I say a couple of weeks in, like that might sound pretty wild that I could transform myself in a couple of weeks. But every day I was imagining with my whole self that I feel okay for like 5 minutes every morning and every night. It's just like a pretty intense amount of time. And maybe you already know some people who've did that and struggled with it. I think the secret was that while I was doing it, I was imagining that it was working perfectly. Like I was practicing. This is beautifully what it feels like to be okay. So for those 5 minutes, I just put everything aside. Everything stopped. For those 5 minutes, everything's okay. Anyway, so yeah, after I got there, I was like, hey, I'm going to start imagining being happy. Great. Wow, I feel happy. I feel great. And then, life goes and I'm having a good time and feeling pretty steadily awesome for a few years. And then somehow I was in breathing meditation, and my attention just went on to the part of me that was happy. And I kind of just followed that, and wow, I just found this bliss that was better than I ever knew was possible. It's just like, here is happiness. And I loved that so much, I started doing happiness meditation every day. And Ekis, you came to our Laughter Happiness meditation, and you saw the bliss that we took ourselves into. So I was doing that every day. So you can imagine like an hour of just laughing ecstatically every day. And I got to the point where I trained myself that my base happiness was pretty wildly happy. And then in the meditation, I was like, what's it like to be a little more happy? What would it feel like to be even more happy? What would it be like to be even more happy? It's just like exploring more and more ecstatic, happy states. And then I got to a point where I was like, I think I'm actually as happy as the human mind can possibly be. Now, I need to say that I actually got to that point. Again, people on the live stream, I hope you're meditating on being infinitely happy right now.
that as your icon, actually.
I
I'm
want
gonna-
one with you and me though, like a good one with you and me.
I want like a really good
It
one.
still looks good though, yeah.
Yeah, I like this one. It looks like Solid Snake. Yes,
Oh, here he is.
Hey, sorry again about that, guys.
no worries.
Okay. So, I actually got to the point where I was like, I'm as happy as I can be. But I want to say that I hit that point a bunch of times. I was like, okay, I think this is as happy as I can be. And I'd like meditate on it and imagine it. What be a little happier, and explore. And then boom, this would be happier. And then I'd like ride that way for a little while and peek out there. And then he'd be even happier. So I hit these like plateaus, these top levels a bunch of times, and I'd smash through them. And then I got to a point where it'd been like a week where I just couldn't smash through this thing. I was like, okay, I guess this is as happy as a human brain can possibly be. And just like totally ecstatically blissful. And then I started to imagine what it would be like if I had a whole group of people coming into this massive bliss with me. And suddenly my imagination was like, wow, I'd be feeling the happiness of all these people. And I like felt 10 times as happy. And then I started to imagine, well, what if the whole world was in this infinite bliss? And yeah, billions times more happiness opened up. So yeah, sharing our actual happiness with people and sharing our lives with people is beautiful. And imagining bringing this joy to them is also amazing. I want to say that while I was there meditating on happiness by myself, I was able to consistently hit level 10 billion happiness every day. Once I'd practiced and got myself up there. Then doing it with other people and kind of like going together sometimes would be wild, and sometimes I didn't want to just get too far away from where I could get the group to go to. So there is an amazing beauty of the freedom within yourself. Your own happiness is wild, it's beautiful, and it's worth cultivating. And combining that with caring and enlightenment for others is even more amazing. I guess what I'm saying is expectations or attachments to what will happen with others isn't helpful on the journey to happiness. The intention and the caring and the giving is beautiful and helpful. That's all I wanted to say. And you setting up a positive, beautiful property where people can come and feel great and have a good time together sounds great. I hope I'll get an invite one day.
Hopefully I can get it up. It's a dream right now, but trying to slowly make that a reality.
I've also had a similar dream and had times where I had a place. There's a lot of people with that dream, so you might want to consider teaming up with people. It can make it easier.
Yeah,
Roommates are great.
I was gonna ask. I saw the announcement that Zenke made that there's a property for the Samga now. Do you know anything else about that?
I saw photos of when he was going and checking them out. They're on the east coast of Canada, and there's a whole beautiful nature region, but I haven't seen the place that he decided on, and I don't really know what the plan is. But I know things are happening. Shreximus?
Yeah, I talked to him specifically because I offered to help him build it.
Oh wow.
He sent me the GPS coordinates of where it is, so you can see it on Google Maps. It's ridiculous. It's
Wow.
like, I think he said 37 acres.
Whoa.
And it's right next to a mountain and the ocean. It is,
Oh my
if
God.
you look, it's like if you go to Maine and then that little, the little nubby thing, the little like.
Yeah, it
circular-
goes. It's kind of like
Yeah.
it's mountainous there. Yeah, I know
Yeah,
that.
it's like
yeah.
Quebec. All the street names are French.
Wow.
And it's really cool. I think he's thinking of doing like earthen dome type things.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
like a
it's a really-
70s kind of a thing.
I don't know if it was a 70s thing. I think it's actually a semi-ancient way of doing things. I mean, you
Oh.
literally use dirt and like bricks of dirt, and it actually does last for a very, very long time. And I think that's what he was talking about. He was saying like it's just a lot of picking stuff up and placing them.
Oh wow,
But it's gonna happen over time, and yeah, it's really cool.
that sounds awesome.
I just got my US permanent residency, and now I have to get Canadian.
And he mentioned he was thinking about having like plots for tiny homes and stuff. I would
Oh
love
my
to do
god.
that.
Yeah, we talked about tiny. I talked about tiny homes with him before.
I'm
Oh my
super
god,
into
that's
that.
amazing. That is awesome.
Yeah, I'll talk to
Oh
you
my
after
God.
the session.
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. Didn't mean to derail it there, yeah.
Well, it's cool actually. Intentional communities are a big passion of mine. You know, here we are, we have this virtual one, and we see each other once a week. I would love to have people around every day, have meals together, meditations together, and have a positive mission together. So, whenever we can talk about uniting the world in awesomeness communities, I think that's a good thing. But maybe we're not all going to move to Canada. Maybe that's a retreat center we can go and help build, and Canadians could visit. Maybe we also need a US one for us to live in. So, yeah, how we make our dreams happen collaboratively and in the best way possible. Maybe that could be a session we have in a few weeks. I want to bring us back to the theme of fine-tuning our mind, or bringing that awareness to be able to feel better, be able to change how we feel. I want to emphasize where this idea of fine-tuning, how that became important and strong for me, was noticing where I had something good, but it definitely wasn't as good as it was possible. So noticing that when I thought about love, there was also a pang of pain. As soon as I noticed that, I was like, wow, I really want my way of loving to be just sweet and joy. And then Marlies, or Amaza as she's called in VR, she and I are working on United Visions, the organization to bring the most enlightening things to the whole world in the most accessible way possible, and exciting, and it's positive, and we meditate before each session on enlightening the whole planet. It's great. And then there are moments where there's like time pressure, and she cares about it, and her model of caring can sometimes be a little frustrated. And just noticing that she says, I care about it. And then when I'm like, well, you can care in a way that doesn't hurt. But in her idea of caring, if you're not going to hurt, then you're not really caring. So I hope there's two really clear examples where we can fine-tune our mind, what it's like to care in a way that's just beautiful, or what it's like to love in a way that just feels nice. But then in the same way, what's it like to meditate in a way that's just easeful and enlightening and warm and wonderful? Or what's it like to be creative in a way that just feels creative? Or what's it like to set intentions around health that just feel invigorating, just feel enlivening. There's so many parts of our life where we can fine-tune it to feel more awesome, to feel better, to be more helpful, to make your life, make each moment nicer. Now, as well as putting that idea out there, I hope I'm also inspiring you, or I hope you're deciding that you'll spend a bit of time to do that fine-tuning. You know, just hearing that idea doesn't necessarily mean it's just going to happen straight away. It can. You can notice things and be like, oh yeah, I'll change that. But also putting in the time to imagine that feeling good and to practice that feeling good. That's where the transformation happens. You know, I could give you a big artwork, a huge artwork that's pretty nice, and we could say, imagine it being great. But you actually still have to go in and like paint in the brighter colors and make the changes. And that's like your mind. Your mind is this beautiful big artwork, and taking the time to go in and redecorate it and transform it. That's where the real creativity and the life-transforming beauty happens. So yeah, we could have these sessions 3 times a day, and we could guide meditations, short meditations 3 times a day, and we could do it together. But at the moment, that's not what we've got. So I really hope there's a part of you deciding that multiple times a day, just for a few minutes, you're going to dive in to bliss and ease and awesomeness, and fine-tune different parts of you. Now, amigo, you said you're like fairly new to meditation. Right now, I'm not talking about the traditional approach to meditation. This is something that I've developed and I've found. And I like to think of training ourselves as one set of skills. And meditation, or practicing awareness, practicing that single-pointedness, practice being able to stop everything, that's another skill. So awareness plus creating yourself, to me, they go hand in hand. You think of driving a car, mindfulness is like hands on the wheel, look where you are, and creative transformation practicing is like thinking about where you want to go. If you're not doing both of them, driving the car is kind of awkward. You got to be thinking about where you're going to go, and you have to be paying close attention to what you're doing. I also want to say how these two skills can help one another. So when we go to do breathing meditation, if you're spending time reading stuff about your mind wandering and you're frustrating, or you're hanging out with groups where that's what they talk about, you're going to get more of that. And if you're spending time thinking about deep stillness and what it would be like for your mind to totally stop, and what it would feel like for that whole thing to be beautiful and enjoying, or what it'd be like for your enlightened mind, just everything else to disappear and just be pure consciousness and freedom. If you're spending more time thinking about that and focusing on that and imagining it, when you go to actually meditate, your mind's going to be going in that direction. It's going to be creating that kind of meditation. So fine-tuning or brain programming or practicing helps our awareness meditation. And awareness meditation also helps brain training. So if you've learned to like focus and stop, then your mind is more free. Say, for example, this is just an example that was very personal to me and important to me, and I think it would help a lot of people in the world. I used to be really shy, and then I learned about brain programming and thought, wow, it'd be great if I was really confident. Now, if I'd tried to practice being confident every day and imagine being around a big crowd of people and, oh my God, that's terrible, what's everyone going to think? And maybe I could be confident. If that's what I was practicing, that would have been hard work. But what I did was like, hey, I'm just going to stop all that other stuff. And just for a few minutes, imagine being just wildly expressive and confident and how great it would feel to be totally at ease with all of them. So being able to stop the other stuff and just be free makes your ability to steer or practice or fine tune just be so much more amazing. So my wish for all of us is that our meditations, our ability to stop and be aware and be still, becomes more beautiful every day. And your ability to imagine and practice new feelings and be creative, fine-tune yourself, brain program yourself, gets more empowered and more creative and more awesome every day. And that as you become more mindful and more empowered, just everything gets better. So that's a nice point for me to ask if there's any questions or anything else we'd like to discuss or cover. And if not, I'm going to finish with our dedication and wrap up this evening. So just another minute if anyone has anything they want to ask or share. I'm going to check the people in the live stream.
I don't want to take up any more of your time, but so you can answer this even next week if you'd prefer. I've never, I guess maybe I'm not as familiar with your kind of meditation where you're able to generate these kinds of emotions. I'm just curious if you've got like resources on, how you learn that kind of stuff.
So the book that taught me was called The Official Guide to Success by Tom Hopkins.
Okay.
And the book doesn't just cover emotions, it also covers how to be more focused in your business goals, or how to be confident, or how to exercise more. But yeah, it also does cover how to feel good. But the theme that runs throughout that whole book is what you keep telling yourself and what you practice is what you'll feel. So I definitely recommend the book. I love it. It changed my life. But I'd also recommend spend a bit of time each day just with that idea. Maybe pick one goal, like I feel peace and contentment. And every day just imagine for a couple minutes feeling perfect peace and contentment, and say to yourself, I feel perfect peace and contentment. And you just practice using your imagination to see it and to feel it stronger and to think like you've got that state of mind.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's a great question. Thanks for asking. And if there's anyone out there who's watching this video later, please write in the comments like thoughts where you have parts of your life you're inspired to transform, or share places where you have transformed your life, or how you fine-tuned feelings in a beautiful way. The more these things are talked about, or the more we hear ways that people have transformed their feelings, the more that's part of our world, and the more easy it becomes. No one had ever talked to me about fine-tuning love, but I think if someone had given me that idea 5 years earlier, I would have had 5 years more sweetness. So the more every one of us talks about any way we've made things better, the more available that is to everybody. Awesome. Well, I want to finish with our dedication, and then we're going to go have our social time outside. So I'm going to say the dedication, and I hope you can just repeat it to yourself or transform the words into what would feel even better for you. And as we go out and you bow to the enlightened being at the back of the room, before you bow, I want you to look at it and know that there is an enlightened being within you. You can imagine anything. With some practice, you can feel anything. With some practice, you can make your awareness do whatever you want it to do. So as you're looking at that enlightened being, bow to that enlightened being inside yourself. Cherish it. Love it. And then as you leave the temple, the crowd will be there all to bow to you, to share that happiness and care together. So let's just stand for our dedication. So we took this time to give love to ourselves, to give wisdom and positivity to ourselves. I hope we can dedicate that not just to what's going on right now, but to the enlightened being within you. The saintliness within you. Not just practicing that's helpful for now, but to really steer your whole life towards so much more goodness and joy and positivity. And we don't just do it for ourselves. That then makes us more enjoyable and more kind, more warm for other people around us. And the enlightenment, the insights, the ease, may we share them with people. So it's not just the positivity rubbing off, but that their perspective is transformed and they make themselves the best versions of themselves. And may we imagine an enlightened world, heaven on earth. And let's practice being the people that make heaven on earth. The world is made of us. It truly is. Who are we being? What are we creating? So let's make the world awesome. Actually, I'd like to bow to all of you right now. Slightly different to our normal closing routine. So everyone, thanks for joining us. May you all be happy and well, and hope to see you soon.